What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the video. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing very well today. I want to cover some things with you guys. Y'all getting ready? Are y'all preparing? If you guys are stopping by the channel for the first time, please consider subscribing to the channel. And while you're at it, go ahead and give a huge like for the video. I would totally appreciate that, guys. So hanging out here today, enjoying this beautiful weather, Memorial Day, and I hope you guys are paying attention to the warning signs, though, right? So there's a lot happening right now, and they're trying to make us feel like everything is just fine. Well, the problem is everything will be fine for certain people and certain companies. Bank of America. It's not just a regional stock. This is undoubtedly one of the largest banks in America. And we're seeing a lot of interesting behavior with the banks. We're also seeing a lot of interesting behavior in the commercial real estate market. Commercial real estate, guys, pay attention to commercial real estate and anything in that vicinity, anything that it touches, any adjacent industries to commercial real estate and commercial mortgage-backed securities. Pay very, very close attention to these things. Some people ain't gonna make it. Got my little pre-workout here. Bank of America stock is down 15% so far this year. While it brought in $25 billion in revenue for the first quarter and about 9% better than a year ago, it's not expecting those returns to continue in quarter two. So, on that news, on that expectation, Bank of America stock is down 15% so far this year. Evercore ISI analyst Glenn Shore, he maintained an overrate rating on Bank of America shares, but reduced its price target from 36 to 35. Very interesting. So if we look at Bank of America's stock price today, Bank of America is sitting at, where are we at? Bank of America is sitting at $28 right now per share. So if Bank of America actually hits the price target, that would be a $9 spread. That's a $9 gain per share. So let's just say, hypothetically, you bought 1,000 shares of Bank of America at today's price of $28, and it goes up to $35 according to Evercore, then you would have made $9,000. And so not a bad rate of return on that one. But we also need to look at several other stocks and their behaviors, because if you look at Altria Group, ticker symbol MO, they're in the tobacco trade, but it's not satisfied there. Considering that tobacco users continue to face high prices, high taxes, and public scorn, many buildings, restaurants, and pseudo-public spaces are smoke-free, meaning this company, even though it's still making a lot of money and paying out dividends, they're about to get squeezed out. And also, buildings, restaurants, pseudo-public spaces, all being smoke-free, what do they have in common? They're all commercial real estate. Writing's on the wall, folks. The writing is on the wall. Now, we were never really given any kind of financial education, right? So a lot of people, they're lost, and they don't even realize that we're in a game right now, kind of like the Matrix. A lot of people don't even realize that they're in the Matrix, they're in the game. So what ends up happening for the majority of people is they become pawns in the game. And guess what? These corporations, they're smart. They will hire some of the smartest people in the world to entice you to spend and borrow more money. Now, they create these programs and strategies to encourage you to borrow even more. Basically, you ever had your mom ever tell you, or your aunt, your grandmother, oh, your eyes are bigger than your stomach? Well, this is kind of what happens, and why a lot of people use debt to buy things they don't really need to impress people that they don't even like. They created these programs and strategies for this to happen. And this doesn't necessarily make them evil, but it does help you to understand how the system works. And the system, it relies on spending. The whole GDP, majority of the GDP numbers for the United States are based on people like me and you, consumer spending. But the problem is a lot of us lack the financial education that we need to know when is it smart to spend, when is it smart not to spend, and when should you save money, when should you invest money. It's kind of like it's like gravity, right? Now, we understand gravity, right? You know, like, do you really want to fight gravity, or do you just want to understand how it works, right? So now when you understand how the system works, then you can actually own a piece of it as an investor and benefit from it. This is what they're doing. You know, the simplest ways of getting a piece of the system, you know, the simplest ways of benefiting from inflation and people spending money who don't understand the game is simply owning companies, index funds, ETFs, Vanguard, E-Trade, M1 Finance, Webull, name your favorite, Charles Schwab, right? So these will help you to get in the door. So, now if we take a step back and we look at the bigger picture, our entire financial system relies on this mechanism, right? And it still works. It's just that it works for those who understand it. Now, I dropped a video not too long ago talking about inflation and, how it makes the majority of people poorer, even though they might not actually see it happening. And this is where the slickness comes in, right? Like when you leave your money sitting in the bank, JP Morgan, Chase, Bank of America, it don't matter. It's depreciating in value. It's depreciating in value by about 2% per year, or at least that's what the Federal Reserve's target rate is, right? Now, it might not seem like that much in a single year. In fact, most people didn't even understand inflation until about 2 years ago, because inflation was only 2%. So most people, because it was such a slow and gradual amount, no one really paid attention to it till it became more aggressive. And so your money's losing value sitting in the bank. Meanwhile, that bank is lending that money out into some risky, some not so risky investments. So is your bank stealing from you when this is happening? I mean, they're going to make 7, 8, 9, 10, 18, 20% on your money and pay you 0.05%. I feel like that's almost like stealing. It's almost like the bank is stealing from you. But the funny thing is you've given your money to the bank. Not saying that there's anything wrong with it, but just understand the math behind what's going on here. So, again, it might not seem like that much in a year, 2%, but you're going to end up losing a very significant amount of money just by leaving that money sitting in the bank. And this is why inflation keeps many people trapped in poverty. I hope you guys are paying attention here. Now, the word inflation, it comes from the word inflate. Inflation inflates the monetary supply, meaning that more money is being created. Now, the Federal Reserve Bank, despite its name, is not even federal. It doesn't even hold cash reserves. And right now, there's not even there's no gold backing the paper. Now, I think they're trying to make some changes on that, but right now, there's no gold backing the paper. It's not a traditional bank where you can deposit money. The Federal Reserve Bank is literally a lie. So they're not federal. There's no reserves, and it's not a traditional bank that you can put money into. So the whole name of the Federal Reserve Bank is, in fact, a lie. How do you brand yourself as something that you're not? You're not federal, but you call yourself federal. There's no reserves, but your name has reserves in it. It's wild. Kind of like the Inflation Reduction Act that they passed in Congress that doesn't do anything to help reduce inflation. How did these people get away with this stuff? So anyway, I digress. So anyway, the Federal Reserve, they control and they oversee the money system right here in the United States, right? So somehow we outsource that to the Federal Reserve. Now, one of their powers is to influence the amount of money that's in circulation. And so they can print money, and they can also pull it back. They can take it away, right? I look at printing money like a pizza pie, you know. Most pizza pies, you know, let's just say you get a large pizza, extra cheese. It's about 18 inches, right? Most people will cut 8 slices out of that thing. But the Federal Reserve, when they are targeting this 2% interest rate, that means that they're making more slices out of that same pie. And so what that means is they're not making more money. Technically, they're making more money without creating more wealth. And so what ends up happening is it takes more of those smaller slices, thanks to inflation, to get full, if that makes sense. Whereas you might be able to eat 3 slices normally in an 8-slice pie. But let's just say with inflation over time, over the last, 10, 15 years, 20 years, it might now, instead of taking you 3 slices to get super full, you might need like 18 slices just to get the same level of satisfaction that the previous 3 slices would have given you. Because if every slice used to be like that big, but now every slice is that big, you need to eat more slices to get full. That's basically how I look at inflation. But, when money is printed without an actual increase in wealth, the value of every single dollar is going down. This is why when you go into Walmart, $100 don't get you what it used to get you. I'm drinking my pre-workout, about to go hit the gym, get these gains. But yeah, in all seriousness, you can't create wealth by printing more money. Money loses value, and we've been basically watching this whole phenomenon for a long time now. So, whenever more money is created, whenever more money is printed, the value of each dollar decreases, causing prices to go up. So this is why $100, like I said, don't get you what it used to be able to get you, like 20 to 30 years ago. Heck, it don't get you $100. Don't get you what it used to get you 5 years ago. Last year, as a matter of fact. So, we can go into Walmart and Costco and look at the things we buy on a regular basis, and anything that's more expensive, for the most part, know that this is thanks to inflation. But why do we even want any inflation at all? Like, why would the Federal Reserve want inflation? Well, the Federal Reserve has a target of 2% inflation, as they believe that it stimulates the economic system. Or at least this is what they tell us. However, this goal, this strategy that the Fed uses, is disproportionately benefiting the financially educated and the wealthy, while it's hurting the financially uneducated and the poor. So, if you don't understand inflation, then you end up paying a price for it. That's it. Now, so for instance, like if your bank offers you 0.1% interest while inflation's sitting at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9% interest, then your savings, your money in your savings bank account is losing value every single day. People are getting annihilated in the banking system off of this one principle. Now, it doesn't mean you shouldn't save money at all. Of course you should, right? But you need to understand how to save strategically. And this is what they don't teach people. They ain't teaching us this in school. Some people never figure this out. Set aside money for emergencies. Set aside money for investments. Set aside money for major purchases. You want to start a small business, set some money aside from that. Invest in yourself. Now, getting back to the topic of inflation. And ultimately, inflation encourages more spending and more dollars in circulation, benefiting the economy and those who own a piece of the system, the investors. How do you become an investor so you benefit from the system? Well, a lot of different ways you can do it, but some of the easiest ways are investing in ETFs, index funds, buying stocks. Berkshire Hathaway stock has some of the largest companies in America in it. So if you want to buy a stock, maybe you don't want to buy an ETF or an index fund. Maybe you want to buy a stock. Berkshire Hathaway is very diversified. You could look at like Procter and Gamble, and I know some of you guys don't like some of these companies, but it's like, look, they're winning the game, and they're in control of. They're largely controlling these systems. Might as well get them to pay you. That's the way I see it. I'm gonna get these jokers to pay me, and they paying me dividends on a regular basis every single. I get paid almost every single day out of the month because of the different schedules of all of these different stocks that I own. Imagine getting a paycheck almost every single day of the month. Not just getting paid every 2 weeks. And it's possible. And I started with nothing, less than nothing. I started off in debt. So, they ain't teaching us this in school, and it hurts regular people who don't understand the system. Like even if you get a raise due to inflation, you're probably even poorer than you were a few years ago because the price of the goods and services, they're increasing faster than inflation. Excuse me, they're increasing faster than your raise. So if your expenses increase by 12 or 15%, but you got a 3% raise, are you better off? No, of course not. So, so imagine your income goes up by $1,000 a year, but your property taxes went up by $3,000 a year. Are you better off that year? Or were you better off in the previous year before you got the $1,000 raise? Y'all see where I'm going with this, right? So, today, despite the prevalence of two income households, people still are struggling to afford homes. Look at Redfin, look at Remax, look at Century 21, look at Zillow. They're all saying that the demand for home sales has declined. People are struggling to keep up. Fed Chair Jerome Powell has made it so much more expensive to be able to buy a home. And it's going to continue to happen. This is going to continue to happen. Now, understanding these dynamics requires changing how you look at money and how you use it. So we had to cover these topics, these ideas, so that you can understand how the system works. Now, today, two income households are still struggling to pay for rent. They're struggling to pay for mortgages. Two income households are living paycheck to paycheck. We're getting more and more reports indicating that people making $100,000 a year are still living paycheck to paycheck. People making $150,000 a year living paycheck to paycheck. People struggle to afford homes, cars, vacations. The value of the dollar is dropping. And this benefits those who understand the system, while regular people are bearing the expense. And this is part of the wealth transfer that I've been talking about. Man, this pre-workout getting me fired up. Understanding these dynamics definitely requires changing how you look at money and changing how you use money. You see, even if you're in a situation where you find yourself like you're broke or you're poor, that is not a situation you have to stay in. That might be your current situation, but there are definitely moves that you can make to get yourself out of it. I'm one of them. I have gotten myself out of a very poor situation. So I'm living proof that it is possible. And I just want to encourage you guys to know, keep chasing your dreams. Keep chasing your financial freedom. Now, right now, you guys should see a video here and a video here. Definitely check out those videos right after this one. But if you're making money just to spend it, you're essentially making everyone else rich at the expense of your own wealth. So I just want to encourage you guys to instead focus on things that make you rich first. Doesn't mean depriving yourself of nice things. I like nice things. I want you to have nice things. But Go out there and get you some wealth, index funds, ETFs, home-based businesses. If you guys want to learn more about that, check out the description of this video and check out those links.